and I don't know him as well as the others, as Gilbert Baker and Curtis Coleman and Conrad Reynolds and Kim Hendred, are some of the other ones. Randy Alexander, I'm very impressed with. And I'm trying. Fred Ramey, I like a lot. He's more of a blue collar guy, and I know I'm missing some here. Jim Holt is proven that he can garner support statewide. What else am I missing there?
Well, I'm not for sure on the rest of the Republicans, but
anyway, I've commented on almost every one of them. I hate to not comment on every one of them, but. That's most of them, and I apologize for the ones that I may have missed. I respect all of them, and I think the world of all of them. I do think just by the pure numbers that Northwest Arkansas does have an advantage for the guys that hail from there and that have solid support from there. Now, just because you're from there, I don't think necessarily guarantees you support, but I think it bodes well, and so that would be John Bozeman, that would be Kim Hendren, that'd be Jim Holt, and then you got guys like Reynolds, who has a great military record, who I think is a dark horse in this race, and is a good candidate. Gilbert Baker has proven he can raise money. I like Gilbert personally a lot. A lot of interesting things there, and I know I'm kind of bouncing all around on that, but really it's anybody's guess. I wouldn't really even try to say.
For the Democratic side, who do you think is going to take the ticket?
Yeah, I think Lincoln probably does, just because she's the front runner, and as the incumbent rather. Halter's kind of made enemies on both sides, but he's definitely not to be underestimated. He's well funded. He's got the unions on his side and a lot of national money. So it's really it's going to be close. It's going to be close, but I think the incumbent ends up winning.
All right. Now, I collected some questions from several different teachers, and they're really concerned at this point on education. And one of those questions are, Arkansas is the forerunner in the distance learning education. What do you see as the future of distance learning?
You're talking about higher ed and college? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that is a way of the future. I think more schools, I know here in Central Arkansas, Pulaski Tech is dynamic. I've personally taken several classes online. I just think with our rural nature, with people's their schedules, I think distant learning is going to be the way of the future. And I think schools that expand their thinking and their model of gathering students, the non-typical student. I think it's a great model, and I think its time has come, and I think it'll just get bigger.
Now, what are your views on rural public schools in Arkansas with regards to consolidation and annexation?
I think the one of the worst things we have done is the consolidation, the 350 and under rule. And what I mean by that 350 and under rule is if a school doesn't keep 350 in attendance, then it gets it gets shut down. And I think that's terrible because for two reasons. One, typically, this not always happens, but it's primarily the way it is. Your smaller rural schools are your best schools. Not only that, they are the heart of those particular communities. They are the heart of those small areas. It's where in my day the paper mill or the cottonseed mill or one of those was the heart of the community. Now, because all that industry has moved out of those rural areas, and it's the school that's the heart of those communities. So you're doing two things when you shut down these small schools. You're destroying probably the best educational systems that we have, or best educational providers we have in the state.
Now, Mr. Copeland,
small rural schools. And then secondly, you are cutting out the heart of that community, because that school is the very heartbeat of that community. So I think we've got to revisit that. We've got to relook at that. We've got to retool that and say, hey, not how many students you have, but how good a job that you have. We've got big schools that are violent. The kids are not learning. They're bleeding money, but they stay open because they've got more than 350 students. And I think that is a travesty to our students.
Now, Mr. Copeland, another teacher brought up something very interesting about that same question. I understand that you really want to keep the rural schools, such as the debate upon such as the England School District, that school.
Mm-hmm.
One teacher asked me, how would you plan on funding them?
Well, I mean, when you look at that, you spend $80 million in Little Rock for something that brings no educational quality to those students, and yet you want to get picky about a rural school that may not physically may be marginal, and yet you've got a Little Rock school system that is bleeding money. And so I just think there's a lot of inequity there, and that's nothing against the Little Rock school. Those kids deserve to learn too. And I think how you do that, I think the school systems should, I think you take a look at it. I think you create ways, you put a team together that looks at those school systems and let them do some things together. For instance, the two schools, I believe it was Delight and Wiener, that were wanting to combine. They were not wanting to move students 200 miles, from one school, from math to science, a 200-mile school ride. They're wanting to combine computer systems, data processing, administrative stuff, and consolidate their cost, and to make themselves more efficient. And hey, there's companies that do it every day that's got a branch in India and a branch in America. So don't tell me that two school systems that has a plant is, as it were, a school in the Delta and another one in East Arkansas can't consolidate with the internet and with technology and keep two schools open. We can do it. It's just a matter of having the will and having the creativity and innovation to do it. And I would welcome, as the Lieutenant Governor, I would welcome the challenge to go in there, get with some legislators, get with some people in education, get with some corporate people that think outside the box, and just get some good energy and synergy going, and let's keep those little schools vibrant and alive, and yet make them physically viable as well.
Now, Mr. Copeland, what do you see as the biggest challenge for rural education, and what steps will you take to meet that challenge?
Well, again, as a constitutional, limited constitutional duties, all that you can do is bring ideas to the legislators and bring it to the Department of Education. But a lot of what I've just talked about would be, getting with a ex-CEO of Walmart, getting with someone who's had multiple, getting with maybe one of your branch, one of your CEOs, one of the banks that can possibly, that has multiple branches, and that knows how to make things work physically, financially for those branches. You got a small branch up in a small area. Well, there has to be a way, but you get with that banker that already thinks about multiple branches and big branches, little branches, to work with educators and to work with legislators, and pull together ideas that can keep that school vibrant, alive, and physically viable.
All right. Now, here is some questions about the future in jobs. What are your plans, or what plans would you bring up to the House and the Senate for bringing more industry and more jobs to Arkansas?
Well, thank you for that question. I think one thing is that study after study has proven that what we're doing now with the governor's $50 million quick action fund, and basically what that quick action fund is for, is to incentivize the large employers to move into our state. We give them $5 million for infrastructure study. We give them $10 million, incentive to move people here, and we use that money to try to get them here. Because 80% of jobs are provided by small business and micro business, and that's small business actually is a misnomer because that's 500 and under employees. But I'm looking